Hello again, YouTubers, Ultimate SpongeBob and One Packer again on the SpongeBob channel. In this video, we are reviewing SpongeBob episode 286, Hot Cross Nuts and Sir Urchin and Snail Fail. The synopsis states, Sandy's homemade snack becomes a big hit at the Krusty Krab. Also, SpongeBob and Patrick's favorite comedy duo has a falling out on live television. Let's dive right in. Starting off with Hot Cross Nuts, the episode kicks off at the Krusty Krab where Sandy has brought her banned outside food in the form of her smoking barbecue nuts. Eating it also has a side effect of breathing fire, which is pretty funny. Krabs detects the nuts and confiscates it, only to try them in his office and actually love the heat it brings. This leads to Krabs immediately hiring Sandy to cook up more smoking barbecue nuts for sale in the Krusty Krab. And although the sales are pretty slow to begin with, once Bubble Bass gets a taste of it, he loves it to the point where he's advertising the nuts on the display attached to his butt. It's funny, but then again, why would anyone have a display attached to the butt? And also there's a trend with Bubble Bass's butt getting a lot of features nowadays. The crowd goes wild for the nuts and orders come pouring in, and the fire starts bursting out of everyone's mouths, even torching Bikini Atoll. That's a good one actually, glad they included that to express the extent of the fire packed into those nuts. However, the success of the nuts has an inverse effect on the sales of Krabby Patties, which soon dry up, by the way. Krabs brings in more makeshift barbecue grills for Sandy to make nuts on, and in a pretty sad moment, the only Krabby Patty order was made by Sandy herself, who just wanted to use it to prop up one of the unstable grills. Eventually, the Krusty Krab rebrands into Cowboy Krab's Nut Shack, and I really like the Old West saloon decor. Wouldn't it be sad if SpongeBob had to settle the decor on his own while his favorite food gets sidelined on the menu? Hey, then again, it wasn't removed from the menu, so that's not that bad. The kitchen is soon filled with tons of barbecue grills and smoke, the latter of which punches SpongeBob out the back door in dramatic fashion. Man, they really destroyed SpongeBob in this episode. Sandy decides to stop making barbecue nuts permanently, and the ravenous cowboy crowd end up devouring the entire restaurant after discovering that the heat and taste of the nuts had permeated into every part of the building. So yeah, they ate the Krusty Krab. This of course leads us back to where we began. Krabby Patties are now the most popular food item around. Best part, Krabs wasn't charging for them. Well, under coercion by Sandy, of course. The plot definitely falls within the category of Krabby Patty replacements, but having Sandy and the Western theme be central to the story was a huge plus for me, especially since I'm a fan of Westerns. Also, the true friendship between SpongeBob and Sandy was once again on display, and that was awesome. I'll give the plot an 8 out of 10. Animation gets 9 out of 10. There's too much good stuff that they packed into the episode, ranging from the very subjective opening regarding the outside food, the hilarious makeshift barbecue grills that Krabs somehow generates out of thin air, and using the same materials, mind you, SpongeBob wallowing in the garbage, the interior of Cowboy Krab, a little throwback to Bossy Boots also, I think. They mentioned that name back then, the cowboy clientele, and so much more. Unique characteristics gets 7 out of 10. We've seen a fair bit of Krabby Patty substitution episodes by now, but at least this one's really enjoyable to watch. And also, I genuinely felt sad for SpongeBob when he was sidelined and eventually kicked out of Krusty Krab. At the same time, gotta love the Old West theme, so yeah, all in all, Hot Cross Nuts gets 24 out of 30 from me. Moving over to Sir Urchin and Snail Fail, I've got a lot to talk about this one. I really like the silliness of Sir Urchin and Snail Fail, and what SpongeBob mentioned about those two being their pair's heroes kind of made me think that they were designed to fill the void left by Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. I don't think so, but it's a possibility, you know. Anyways, the episode starts off with SpongeBob and Patrick racing over each other to get to the couch for another live screening of the Sir Urchin and Snail Fail show. It's pretty typical. Sir Urchin bosses Snail Fail around to clean the area. The latter messes it up intentionally, slamming stuff on Sir Urchin to elicit the "why you?" and then he just says, "what I do," you know, like that's what they all always do. And this goes on for a bit until perhaps either due to just not being happy anymore with constantly getting yelled at, or just the nature of what he was doing, Snailfail goes into full thespian mode and tries to be a dramatic actor. Well, that results in the pair splitting up and going their separate ways on live TV. So SpongeBob and Patrick are shocked and saddened by the sudden split. And I gotta give them props for making SpongeBob into a diaper for Patrick. It was so funny, but silly at the same time. Both of them decide to split up and locate Snailfail and Sir Urchin respectively to convince them to get the duo back together again. Patrick's up first, calling a taxi, and upon finding out that the driver is none other than his hero Sir Urchin, he literally blows his top. Sir Urchin decides to ask Patrick to become Snailfail's replacement, and Patrick accepts, kind of. Meanwhile, Snailfail is living up in his mansion when he gets a yellow box in the mail. That's really his adoring fan, SpongeBob, who he tries to kick out initially, but not before SpongeBob suggests a stage that Snailfail should try acting on. And it's the Shady Shoals rest home of all places. This is also where Mabel, the old lady, I think her number is like 82 for incidentals, starts pestering them saying, "Why you? What I do?" Presumably because that's what she wants to hear from Snailfail instead. But that's a recurring thing in this episode. We then flash over to Sir Urchin and Patrick, who are now in downtown, and the latter is doing a terrible job since he keeps slamming the mallet on Sir Urchin and then saying something else other than the well-defined catchphrase of "what I do." So Sir Urchin is disappointed, and suddenly the newspaper boy shows up in both cases for Sir Urchin and Snailfail, letting them know of a talent contest happening that night, which they readily decide to go for. Later that evening at the concert hall, we get cameos of so many past characters ranging from Mr. Wiener to Kelpie G, and even a member of the Boys Who Cry group, so it seems like that group fell apart too. Upon confronting each other, Snailfail refuses to pair up with Sir Urchin, citing his new buddy, SpongeBob. The same happens on Sir Urchin's part, calling Patrick his new comedy partner. They then start brawling, with Sir Urchin presumably trying to get Snailfail to wise up, and end up landing on the stage. But eventually, Snailfail does come around and finally says the line in front of the whole crowd, "What I do!" And with that, the crowd goes wild, the pair is back together again, and Sir Urchin even encourages Snailfail to do some dramatic acting in future episodes of the show, so quite a heartwarming conclusion. We then fast forward to a week later, where after some Hamlet-style acting, Snailfail and Sir Urchin give a shout-out to SpongeBob and Patrick through the television, complete with a slam on their heads, the "Why you?" and of course, "What I do." Incidental 82 then shows up again in SpongeBob's house this time with her "Why yous?" I'm not sure what that was for, but okay, yeah, that was how it ended. The plot gets 8 out of 10. It's about time we get a full episode centered around the silliest comedy duo in SpongeBob, and although I can sympathize with Snailfail's desires to be a sophisticated actor, the fact that he wised up to reality eventually and realized that his true calling and his best partner was there the whole time was a full circle ride, and that was very much appreciated. So the moral of the story is that you sometimes just gotta give the crowd what they want, and also there's plenty of ways to collaborate and still achieve each party's goals. Animation gets 8 out of 10. The character variety in terms of incidentals was really impressive this time, just wish Kelpie G did a bit of clarinet playing as well. Anyways, the act's pretty simple, but I thought the various objects used were really quite funny, ranging from the statue to the piano and the fountain, the anvil, and the bathtub, amongst others. Unique characteristics gets 9 out of 10. This episode is a rare occasion where SpongeBob and Patrick work together but have a split adventure, and I must say this is a great direction to go in. Of course, I really like the use of old characters to piece together this story, especially the newspaper boy, and while Patrick hitting himself this time with a mallet, and the explosions ain't new, those are really funny, so I'll give it a pass. Overall, Sir Urchin and Snailfail gets 25 out of 30 from me. So that's our review for these two episodes. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought about them. Make sure to subscribe, like, and I'll see you guys again in the next SpongeBob video coming real soon. Till then, bye!